welcome to Balaclava Boys episode something. And
Episode 5?
episode 5.
Episode
How's
N
it going?
plus.
Yeah.
N was the
Episode
previous
name.
number you looked up.
Wow.
Welcome
Episode
to
programming languages.
welcome to high quality, not low rent garbage podcast where everything is well thought out and definitely not done off the top of the head.
Welcome to I run the podcast wiki.com. I'm going to talk about a topic and we are going to discuss, and then we are going to say that is really right, we are so right, and then you are going to comment and subscribe today.
I'd be like, actually, I don't think that what you said was right because I think you were wrong, and I think that you were wrong because I'm right, and I'm going to put all of my right in your comment about how you're wrong, but then someone else is going to be like, no, I think they were right and you're wrong, and I'm going to write all of my right in your wrong, and then basically, like, I'm going to like look at that shit and stim out, and then I'm going to like go to sleep and have a wank over it.
Sounds like some high energy business. Tell me more about that.
Tell me more, tell me more.
Say my
Clav
name,
it
say
boy.
my name.
Clav it
When
boy.
nobody's around you, say baby I love you. Say baby my say name.
High
Say my
high
name.
energy.
High energy. A bit more energy tonight, Jeb. I like it.
So welcome to the podcast. Basically, same as usual. This is from the field, chilling out in the middle of the night, starting off with a couple of beers. Basically, we're coherent now. As the podcast goes on, you will notice a
Spoilers!
a subtle shift in attitude towards incoherence.
Oh no!
In-
Not that you can hear it again. I
Yeah.
usually come to Balaclava Boys for incisive commentary and
I come here for
and
really
sober thoughts.
for really specific, well thought out, detailed ideas.
Where
Where
else am I
everything
going
is
to
referenced.
Yeah, exactly. Where else am I going to get my Balaclava Boys references in the Balaclava Boys podcast episode 5?
It's like, did you hear about Jim down the road in his website.com?
Oh no, we said a name. We better cut it out and then peak the volume out so it makes it impossible for me to edit it afterwards, and I have to listen to a fucking 3-hour podcast,
He
and
said
then I have to
that,
edit it, and it's bullshit.
he said that, that Starburst give you fucking anal prolapse if you eat them enough, and it's completely unsourced and with no evidence. But I believe him because I read it on a
Reddit.
website. On Reddit, yeah.
I read it on Reddit.
I read it on Reddit, mate.
It made my penis really hard. You know what I read on Reddit recently that I told you about last night, and that you were like, what the fuck?
I can't remember. Go for it.
It's called Sissy Coming. And
Oh,
it's about...
why did you
yeah,
have to start with that?
I was going right for it. Let's make it interesting from the beginning.
Oh, already
So
I'm just like,
apparently
I
there's
just got over the mental scarring of hearing this
Yeah,
shit, and you're bringing
okay.
it up. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
apologise to everyone that you have to like, you have to like
welcome
process
to,
this because
welcome to Balaclava Boys. I read this thing,
fucking
and I
degenerate.
can't unthink it. I can't unread it. Which should be a website, by the way, unreddit.com. If you read something, you just read it backwards, and it just
Basically,
disappears from your brain.
I think you should just stop listening right now. Just go away.
Stop listening.
Just like you can live
How
life
about we
as an
put a little
old
mental
person.
bookmark there, and then we never bring it back up again? No, it's just basically when like someone's fucking you in the ass and you're flaccid, but you still come through due to prostate. Yeah, but
Prostate stimulation.
apparently it's
basically.
a bit like you don't really get satisfied. You just get really kind of on the edge of actually climaxing, and for about 30 seconds, so it's a lot longer. But then you can't get hard anymore, and it's just really frustrating. You go to bed and you like cry yourself to sleep. And some people kind of enjoy that. And I thought, wow,
Well, the way you described it last night to me was like a bit more
a
brutal.
bit
about
more brutal, yeah.
you were being more visceral. You were basically saying that it's
Well, it's
like.
because I'd had a
But
bit more.
You were saying that essentially it's like that, they're getting fucked in the ass,
Yeah.
and their prostate is getting stimulated,
Yeah.
and it makes like the cum sort of just
Sort of dribble out, yeah.
slowly leak out of their body,
Yeah.
and they feel like incredibly like emasculated and feminized and worthless and like
Yeah,
just a
it's
total
like a
piece of
weird,
shit.
it's like a weird bastardized female
Yeah,
orgasm.
and they get like no satisfaction from it, and basically just
But some of them actually enjoy it because they have this weird BDSM relationship with their partners where they want to feel like they've been used for the partner's pleasure without getting anything back. But you have men who have relationships with women that are the same, so I don't know, it's really fucked.
I understand like I understand like power plays and things like that. So it's
That's like really extreme BDSM.
oh
shit,
yeah,
you know?
I'm still not judging. I think that like if whatever people want to do, as long as it's fucking
As long as it's in the gas chambers, I mean, it's fine with me.
yeah, maybe not that far. But it's like wow, take it to the next level.
As long as they do it in the oven, I don't mind.
As long as it's two consenting adults, and you're like, as long as it's a fascist regime sending people off to the death camps.
I don't really. Just for the record, I don't really believe that, but I really do.
Fashy washy boy. It's like, no, I don't want to be fashy washy.
Cut that shit out, boys.
Cut that shit out.
They're gonna know what Fashy Washy Boys is all about. They're gonna know who's talking about that shit.
I don't even know what I'm like talking about anymore. But
cut that shit out.
This is like just recall the memory in my brain where it was like fucking like when Obama like was getting like voted in and like all the I think it was like the conservatives. No, they were like saying that like he was gonna like basically send people away to like FEMA death camps and shit.
What?
Yeah, I mean I can't.
All the conservatives were like fucking sissy coming just from him existing. They were like,
yeah, it was like
leaking in my underwear.
I suppose it's like massively out of date, so it's not really relevant anymore. But it just kind of shows you like the ability of like human beings to go to like extreme hysteria. They were like,
I don't know if you've heard, but Balaclava Boys is now a history podcast. So it's okay.
Yeah, and it's like incredibly accurate as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, as we all know, Pompey was a Roman and he was sick, and Barack Obama was Osama bin Laden. His middle name was Hussein.
He attacked, but most importantly, Barack.
No. See, the thing is that you were upset about me talking about Sissy coming, but you mentioning that has made me about 10 times more upset.
Well, it's like
I'm just leaving now.
The laziest meme in existence.
It's just so shit. Yeah, it's like words that end in ack. ACK, please. He is okay. Let's think of a word. Slack. He attack, but most importantly, he write messages on Slack.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what? This is shit. It's like the easiest thing. It's like, oh, look at me. I am the CTO of a Fortune 500 company, and I evangelized Slack, and people send messages to each other, and the communication is way better in my company. So I am going to make a meme, May of myself, and I'm going to put it on my Facebooks, and everyone's going to say, wow, it's so funny because it's the thing that we recognize the format of.
That is kind of the thing with memes, though, is that like they're either actually really like actually intelligent, like some sort of subtle joke.
Some of them are really good, but now what I'm realizing is that I'm getting a bit too old for them, because a lot of it is like nostalgia for things that I don't care about. It's like, do you remember this Black Ops 2 thing? It's like, no, because I was smashing pussy and killing people, but when Black Ops 2 came out. Obviously not. No.
I was too busy crunching puss.
Crunching puss and
I'm
shit
just
and losing
humble
the face
bragging
at the same
how
time.
much pussy I was
yeah,
crushing.
I was smashing, bumping uglies.
I was unlocking
between
real
animals.
life achievements. It's
I
like,
was fucking farm animals in Syria before you even were a winkle in your dad's eye, you
What?
piece of shit.
it's like pre-bombs, like there was like some
Oh, it was a
real good
utopia
livestock
before
in
then.
Syria for
You know what Iran looked like in the 60s? I mean, Syria basically looked like farm animal paradise in the 70s. That's where I was. Sorry, I'm going to probably cut all this out.
Yeah, that's fine.
I say, oh, I'm going to cut all this out, but I'm actually not.
I say you, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's like, you say you will, but I know that you won't, just from like past experience now. But,
I just say it because it's funny.
Yeah, basically it's like, memes can just sort of, you get like different types of the way that they're created, and I think it's basically, depends on the thought process of someone who creates it, because some of it can be very witty social commentary, it's like, so like, cracking a cold one with the lads. I actually thought that was pretty. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of genius because it was it was relatable to everyone, but but in a way where it's like you could just have so many different scenarios, kind of like talking about how you're trying to like get everyone together, even though like maybe you're in like a serious relationship and like your partner doesn't really want you to do that, and playing on all of these little sort of nuanced these sort of like social experiences that we all have,
or just very silly ones. Like they work. I think a good meme will get funnier the more you see it.
Yeah.
So let's say even something like cracking a cold one with the boys, and that had a very short lifespan. But I don't think it was a bad one, just because you see things like they'll have something like a guy cracking an egg, and it'll be labelled the egg will be labelled a cold one, and the bowl will be labelled the boys. So you're like, oh yeah, cracking a cold one with the boys. And then you see a guy cracking a safe, and then the stethoscope is like the boys, and the safe is the cold one, and you're kind of
trying to crack it,
yeah. And then they keep doing it, and then at some point it becomes it becomes meta-referential. So I can't think of any examples right now, but there'll be a joke about making the joke somewhere, And then you'll get things people trying to be clever and switch it around. So it's like cracking a cold boy with the wands or something, and it's just going to be about some weird.
Well, that's what I mean. It's kind of like
yeah.
you know, when you get memes like that, it's like that's actually really clever, and it's like people are engaging on it with like multiple levels. They're sort of taking the piss on like so many different fronts. But like with other memes like this, like he protect, he attack, all of that lot. It's like here is a dumb formula. Which is like
it's just a little kid's rhyme.
It's like it's like this is funny for some reason. It's like it's not really. It's fucking
I never
shit.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like people are just like regurgitating it because it's like memes are great. Yeah. It's like are they? Like not all memes are great. Like calm down.
No, it's just a lot of it is kind of creating culture. So everything's become so self-aware that they've ratcheted up to 11. So like you make the JPEG compression really fucking bad, and that somehow makes it funnier. And then you have like some still from Hey Arthur, and he's like, I don't know, it's just really shit. Like, yeah, a lot of it's really shit. It's like Hey Arthur, like doing a thumbs up in front of a screen, and someone's put like a picture of Auschwitz on it. And then there's Buster or whatever. No, not Binky. Yeah, Buster is like little, his rabbit mate. Yeah, and he's like he's got a Star of David on his shoulder, and it's like he's looking really upset. And it's like, it's kind of funny, and it's also just like there's no effort put into it, but they made the JPEG compression really bad, so you're like, oh yeah, this is a real joke. I don't know, it's just really weird shit, and I can appreciate that a bit. No, there was a really good one where it was like a Yahoo Answers, but with all the Hey Arthur characters, and it's like, Arthur's like, help, my mum keeps trying to take baths with me, what do I do? And it's always like the same several characters like Miffy and whatever like answering, and then Binky Bars is always at the bottom with a trolley answer, and he's like, "Oh, I'll take your place, Arthur. Don't worry." And then like there's like several questions in a row, and it's like, "Help! My schoolmate is in a relationship with my mother now, and my dad's really angry." And he's like, "Don't worry, Arthur. I'm your daddy now." And so it's shit. It's like,
look at me, I'm the daddy now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, Binky.
Look at me, Arthur. Yeah, Binky is the one who had like the really like fucked like massive jaw, and tiny forehead.
Yeah.
He was a weird.
I don't know
character.
What kind of animal he was.
I was like, what are you? Like, if anyone knows what he was, like, let us know, because like I don't actually have a fucking clue like what he was meant to be. But,
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, he just basically he just looks like enormously inbred.
I think he probably was meant to be like that.
He's like, I'm basically the degenerate character.
Yeah, I think
I'm the trailer park trash character.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They based The Hills Have Eyes off him. It was really weird.
White trash character. But yeah, I don't know. Memes they're a pretty enormous topic actually, because it's like, yeah, we can talk about individual sort of instances like that, but what do you think it is about human nature that kind of makes us even make them? Because it's like the internet is just a
sense
vessel,
of belonging,
really.
I think.
You think? So it's kind of because I think it's kind of like in jokes. I
don't
really see what the
sense of
difference
belonging,
is.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. When you have like in jokes with your friends, it's like if you expand that out to a community of thousands of people, that's essentially what memes are. It's kind of like, and I think this is why when you go into certain like cultures, when you go into like threads and shit online, and it's like, it'll be some sub-thread that's like very, very specific, maybe around like a video game, that like a couple of people play, well, like a couple of hundred people or something.
Yeah.
Or like some hobby that people have, like a style of cooking or whatever, or even like religious like sub sort of groups and threads. And they're still all making their own fucking memes, and they'll be like very sort of.
The Christian ones are great.
Yeah, they'll be like very, very targeted towards like these ideas, and I just think it's interesting that happens.
A lot of them are kind of embarrassing though. Like you feel embarrassed to be part of the community with how shit the memes are.
Well, yeah, because that's it. Because then you end up getting sort of almost like meta cultures.
Yeah.
Because it's like now you have cultures of people who basically all share a similar pleasure in observing the other cultures.
Yeah.
These other groups that form, which I think is kind of like how threads like Cringe and all of that lot sort of started. Because it's like, or like shit Reddit says, places like that.
What I find is that the further it goes, the more Deep Into YouTube becomes much, much better than Cringe.
Yeah.
Deep Into YouTube used to be kind of the sidekick to Cringe, but now I think Deep Into YouTube is kind of the main thing.
There's some pretty amazing stuff on there.
Cringe got a bit too safe, and Cringe Anarchy is a bit too.
I think it became popular. I think like the word cringe kind of got made mainstream.
That's not a bad
It's not a bad thing. Like I actually I
felt
love
like I
the
overused
concept.
it, and then and then everyone else started using it, so I felt a bit better about it.
Like hipster about it. It's like I was using
not in that way.
cringe. I
No,
was using
it's
cringe
not.
before me.
No, it's more that I was, because we were using it a lot and people didn't use it as much, so you had to explain it sometimes, and makes you feel a bit stupid. Not stupid, but a bit autistic. And then everyone else starts using it, so people know what you're on about, and it's, you know, it becomes
It's
more
like
socially
accepted
acceptable.
mainstream culture, so
Yeah.
it's like at least people have a fucking clue what you're talking about now.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a hipster thing. I don't really think that, you know, you can fucking stake a claim on the word cringe.
No.
Because it's been around, you know, cringing and bowing is an expression that's been around for, I mean, I couldn't tell you, but, you know, for at least 100 years.
Yeah.
Probably a
Quite
lot
a long
more.
time.
But that's more someone being excessively obsequious and smiling and you know, kind of...
Got that gravy grin.
Yeah, but a really horrible, sour gravy grin that you don't really trust.
It's like, I've got brown lipstick on.
But now it's more, oh, fuck. And that's not really what it meant.
Make it stop. Yeah, but I kind of find out it's like people are sort of, like, cringe has become like the new sort of popular thing, and so a lot of people are just like posting shit on there constantly, being like, look how cringe this is, and it's like, you watch it and it's like, it's not even actually that bad. It's like, and then there'll be like enough people sort of like looking at it going, I don't really get why you think this is cringe. It's sort of, it's almost cringe in itself that you think this is. It's like, basically you just got like too far up your own arse. And
when it gets a bit political, it all gets it's very skewed.
And you've like lost perspective on like what's just kind of generally embarrassing.
The only real cringe is Balaclava Boys episode 8, season 24.
Season 24.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this ginseng to hit me.
How many episodes are in a season? Like, I don't know, 12? Or are we going like...
Let's find out.
Star Trek Next Generation, it's going to be like 20 something. It's like,
that's what I like. The only memes I like are Varg memes.
I don't even know what they are.
Varg Vikernes. I don't know, he's this fucking Norwegian white nationalist.
Okay.
No, he's just the guy from Burzum.
What kind of stuff does he make then?
So, do you know
White
Burzum?
Nationalist sounds pretty...
He's not really. Yeah. So he was put in prison for like 15 years or whatever for killing his bandmate in Mayhem.
That's pretty... Oh yeah, Mayhem.
He stabbed him like...
I thought that was a shotgun.
times.
Like he went on a rampage with a shotgun, the guy in Mayhem.
No. So there was Dead, the vocalist, shot himself in the mouth with a shotgun. And his suicide note just said, sorry for all the blood. And the guitarist was this narcissist who... so the session bass player was Varg. And the guitarist was called Euronymous. Well, that was his stage name. I don't remember his real name. Doesn't matter. And he was a bit of a narcissist by Varg's account. And they had this whole rivalry because Varg would take the piss out of him and say he was just a mummy's boy and stuff because he was living off his parents' money, and he owned this record company, record shop,
right,
in Oslo.
Okay.
But when things got too edgy with like the church burnings and stuff, he had to kind of speak to his parents and try and convince them not to lose his allowance or whatever. I don't really know, but this Euronymous guy started talking about him, saying that he was going to kill him. There are rumours going around that he was going to make a snuff film.
Shit, a snuff film?
Kidnap him and basically murder him.
Fuck. Yeah, but make a snuff film out of it as well, so other people can basically
something like that. He said he was going to videotape it.
Oh, that's fucked.
And
that's really
that's
dark.
according to Varg anyway. He said that someone gave him a phone call, a mutual friend, and said he's been running his mouth about that. And this guy was waiting for a contract to be signed and returned to him from Varg, so he got a knife and drove to his house. Well, drove with a friend. Drove to his house and he phoned him up and said, "Yeah, can I give you this contract?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he went to his apartment and stabbed him 43 times.
Fuck, 43?
Yeah, he said for him it was self-defense because he thought that this guy was going to do something when he wasn't, that he'd bought a stun gun. His idea...
Let's get the story straight. So he drives up to his house after like hearing a phone call or something, and then and goes to this place. So this is where this guy lives. He enters his property, and then he stabs him 43 times.
In the stairwell, this guy's running down. He's like stabbing him in the head. And
then he's like, it's self-defense.
Kind of, yeah.
What? That's fucking bullshit.
It wasn't really self-defense. He said something like...
How could that ever be self-defense?
Yeah, he just tried to explain it, saying that, he's... What was the whole... He'd bought... his friend had said that he'd bought a stun gun. And I think he actually had. I'm not sure if... You know, basically he was just going to zap him and then tie him up and bring him to the woods.
That's still fucked though.
It is fucked, yeah. And this guy just brought a knife and just fucking ended it.
Holy shit. That's hardcore.
Yeah, it's like one way or the other. I don't remember if Varg was the one who said, I've signed the contract and I'm returning
Even
it to you
Julius
now,
Caesar only got
or if
stabbed
he
like
phoned up and said, you
28
should come to my
times.
apartment and return the contract to me. I don't remember which way around it is, which would change a lot. But anyway, he killed him and he went to prison for years and years. And he was only like, there are already famous pictures in black metal history of when he was accused, you know, when he was found guilty of murder. Because he's got this very cheeky smile. And he was younger than us, you know, he was 21 or something.
Wow.
So he came out of prison and he was in his late 30s. And he'd made some shitty synth albums then. Well, I don't know, I haven't really, you know, anyway.
He sounds pretty fucked.
He
to
is
me.
fucked, yeah. But he came out and married this French girl who's younger than him and had about 50 million kids with her. And he just has, he still makes albums and he's got a D&D-like game and he writes about Norwegian mythology and stuff like that. I'd quite like to read one of those books, actually.
He sounds like it sounds like he's lived a pretty fucking random life.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I mean,
he's very intelligent in a way, but
so this is the
he has
same
a
guy
YouTube
that
channel.
stabbed this other guy like 4
Yeah,
times.
yeah, and he just left and he's got this
Fuck
big
that,
family now.
That's kind of scary that he's just like roaming around in society completely free. It's
He's
like,
normal. He was arrested by French police because they were stockpiling weapons, but they don't have anything on him. Like he's not going to do anything. He just expects that society is going to collapse at some point, and he's on this whole survivalist trip. So his children, you know, they live in a house without. I think they have generators, but they're not connected to the grid, and you know they try and bathe them in cold water and stuff during the winter because it's more natural that way, and they'll be hardened.
wow, he sounds like insanely paranoid.
Yeah, massively. But he uploads videos on YouTube of you know, him and his family and his philosophy.
I mean,
and there are memes about that because he says, "Well, let's find out at the beginning of every video" and stuff like that. And
that's fine.
you know, it's like, "Oh, my face when no one's buying my tabletop RPG." It's like Phil's guy, but with a big beard, and he's like guitar in the background.
you think? I mean, that's kind
It's
of
fascinating though. I was watching them for quite a time.
Okay.
I was speaking to other guys at this concert in the Netherlands, and they were like, "Oh yeah, he's a massive joke to us. We think he's a fucking." But it's quite interesting because he is kind of a joke, but he's also, I think he's probably quite lonely. He's trying to validate his way of life. But I don't know, I was watching it because I was quite entranced. It's a very weird way of life.
I don't care how he feels. He's stabbed someone 43 times.
Man.
Like, fuck that guy.
But he's got lots of young kids and they seem to fucking love him, you know. He's like,
yeah, whatever.
It's really weird.
You know.
I know, yeah. Well, he is a murderer, yeah. That's why he went to prison for 15 years. Came out and immediately made this like weird, like, well, traditional lifestyle, very traditional, you know. And he's trying to evangelize it online. That's why it's fascinating to watch. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I suppose that's actually. I can see how that's incredibly interesting from another perspective. But he sounds fucked to me.
Oh, he is
like,
fucked, yeah.
Mentally, just like that.
Yeah,
guy.
he has this huge boner for Russia. He sings like Russian songs and has this old Soviet Union era car and he drives around his land on it. And there was a Vice, there was a Vice, not documentary, but interview of him, and they said that, you know, they went and spoke to his neighbours, and they all said he was a really kind man, and he didn't speak much French, but he was very, he smiled a lot, and they felt very, you know, they quite liked him and felt quite safe around him and stuff. I don't really think that he would murder anyone else, but you never know.
Oh,
I think if anyone, if I gave him a phone call and told him his next door neighbour was planning to make a snuff film of him, we could see what he would do. Yeah, he's bought a stun gun and he wants to make a snuff film of you in the woods. He's like, let's see about that shit. He's like super gullible.
It's an interesting question though, just kind of generally of its own accord. But like, you know, do you think?
Is that self-defense or what?
No, I like moving away from him entirely.
Oh yeah.
Like society collapsing, you know, because he's like living in this paranoid way, like thinking that that's like possible. But just as a general question, I mean, like, do you think that's even possible? I think. Well, I think it's like
I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think
it will happen in our lifetimes. I'm cautiously optimistic that it will not. But I am under no illusions that our societies
are fragile. Yeah.
Yeah, or solid. You know, I'm under no illusions that they're solid because they're not. And I think that they are kind of aging machines. You know, I think I've mentioned this before. But you know, societies always eventually do collapse. And it's unreasonable to expect something to last forever just because we live in it. Yeah. Because I think that the Romans would have thought they would last forever, and
yeah, that's true.
You know, it's
But that's why I think
just
it's an
because
interesting
we're
question.
better off, just because we are happier, doesn't mean we are more resistant to change or more dominant. You could come from a very, very basic, primitive and unhappy society, but be more dominant because you're more aggressive, and you're more intolerant to the out group, and you privilege the in group more. I don't actually think we do it that much, even though obviously there's a lot of with social justice and stuff. The whole narrative is that a lot of these like the societies we live in right now are not egalitarian at all, and the majority privileges the in group a lot. I think actually compared to pretty much all of history, this has been the most egalitarian time, and I'm not sure if it's going to last and if it's going to get better. I think if anything it will get worse, but I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be in our favour. It might be or it might not be, and either way it's not going to be very good, because I prefer to live in an egalitarian society. I think that
I think everybody would, definitely.
I'm not sure. I think
not
I think
people
lots of people
not
who
people at the
stand to
top,
benefit from it.
but I think I think the majority of people are kind of in
I mean,
that
even if I stood to benefit from it, I probably wouldn't want to, because it's better for everyone. And I don't really like seeing things in terms of race. I like seeing things in terms of common interests, such as culture and even basic things like attractiveness or like genes.
So just how healthy people are, basically.
Yeah, well, you have things like I think in let's say even in Nazi Germany, like a lot of the fucking SS soldiers would have been ugly fuckers.
Oh well, they were getting people like coming straight out of the prisons.
Yeah, exactly. We were speaking about that last night.
Yeah, and bringing them in on buses because they were
Easily.
Yeah, violent.
It's like, oh well, yeah, exactly. They're violent. We need to. We can leverage that. We can use them as the strong, because that's exactly what Hitler did with the brown shirts right at the beginning, before they were actually in power. He just had a bunch of henchmen on the street, and it was like that in the 70s in the UK as well. And now we have that with the anti-fascists. Isn't that interesting? It's like, come be part of the black bloc. We call ourselves anti-fascists, so we're definitely not bad this time. It's like, isn't it exactly the same shit again, just on the opposite political kind of and no one's really talking about it, so they get away with it.
I think people are sort of raising it. But
now they are. It's taken long enough.
Yeah, I think it's like minority voice, where they're basically like,
with the G20, like, it has actually set people off.
Yeah, it's like what's kind of the main messages people are putting forward here? It's like violence and wreckage. That's what people are thinking of when they think of these people, and it's like
there's no coherent political message.
Yeah, it's like the politics of it kind of fades away.
Like, we're anarchists. It's like, yeah, good job, okay. How would you actually lead society then? Oh, we wouldn't, because we're anarchists.
It's like, that's
okay.
not an answer. Like,
how about we kill you and we steal your significant others away? We take your loved ones and we make them work in the mines. It's like, would you like that? No. Well, is that what you would do to us? Don't know, mate. Yeah, well, what's this anarchy all about then? It's like, what if the government collapsed and then I made you my bitch? It's like, that's not very good, is it? And that could happen. Or the opposite could happen. Yeah. I don't really want to, it's like, I don't really want either of those outcomes, because that's disgusting.
How about...
And I feel like that's the logical conclusion to not having a state. It's like, there's no social contract, so you have no reason to trust me. I could kill you or you could kill me, and that's basically the only outcome.
Well, it's kind of like, you live within this legal framework, right? And, that structure that society provides with its laws and like its ideas that kind of create norms and sort of areas for us to all exist in.
Yeah,
it's like a stick house that you exist in. It's just like this
very massive
thin
illusion. You're like,
this very thin shelter.
So
yeah, exactly. And you're like, this is real. This is great.
Like banging on the table as hard as you can. Like, this will never smash. And
exactly.
If the table smashes, the whole house smashes.
That's what people like Antifa are doing. Basically, they're getting like the door frames and they're fucking like wobbling it.
Yeah.
They're like, let's fucking shake shit and try and be edgy as fuck. And it's like, actually,
the thing is,
you're not doing. You're shaking the system, like, and it's not a good idea, because we need this to not murder each other.
And you think, like, on a one-to-one, you think of the anti-fascists, and you think if there was even a small contingent of actual neo-Nazis, like the 70s variety of neo-Nazis out on the streets versus the anti-fascists, I think the Antifa would actually get smashed. Like you see a lot of them, and they are not very. It's just that they have strength in numbers, and some of them are like.
It's a very privileged generation of people trying to be.
Yeah, they're
something,
like lots of kind of skinny vegan kids, and it's that's
like,
fine to be that way, but you're not really necessarily going to be very strong in a fight.
Yeah, it's like if people get pissed at you and they start doing extreme things back, it's like, it's not going to be very pretty. And you're already seeing like the tensions of that in America, particularly, where it's like people are threatening each other with guns on Facebook and shit.
Germany's like pretty mad as well. I was watching this thing, about some of the crimes that the anti-fascists have done over the last 10 years or so, and they have hospitalized people, seriously, like almost murdered them by cracking in their skulls with baseball bats and stuff.
Yeah, why is this?
And it's like 30 on 5 like fights.
To hit people in the head.
Yeah, they ambush people.
And when they're not even looking.
I think a lot of them are like, to be honest, a lot of these stories, the people who were hospitalized were actual neo-Nazis, so it's not really something. It's quite difficult to feel bad for them, but at the same time, I don't think the vigilante justice, like mob vigilante justice, makes me feel very safe.
Yeah,
it's actually like quite.
I don't want that to be an acceptable part of society.
It's like, quite worrying because that's when you end up living
in fear of something, something existing outside of the law. That's it.
Yeah, we're in a totalitarian state because it's the sort of place. Like there was a story in where I think it was in Iraq. There was a woman. Someone started pointing at a woman in this big crowd and started screaming like, "Oh, she's burnt a Quran." It was in Afghanistan actually. Just this random woman, and the crowd just murdered her.
Really?
Just on the spot, murdered her.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's video footage of it. I saw it on Washington Post a couple of years ago.
It's like, it's like that could have just been made up, and like that one could have just got.
Yeah, they just said she burnt a Quran. People started throwing stones at her, like legit punching her and then throwing stones. There was a big circle formed around her, so she couldn't escape. Everyone kind of backed away at a similar distance, and they started. She fell on the floor and they started kicking her. And then the police eventually, I think people started dragging her around, and she got caught under a car, and basically a car drove her over and like kept driving.
Jesus
and
Christ!
Walked over. And then by the time the police arrived, she was dead.
I'm not surprised.
And they tried to stop, the people from going there, but someone set fire to her body.
Oh my God!
And then they just stood there like looking sort of satisfied that they'd done their job because they stopped people from further desecrating the corpse, as this woman's smouldering corpse was like. Or like flaming corpse behind them, and just because someone just said like, "Oh, she burnt a Quran in the middle of the crowd," like,
it's like
after prayers.
No one even like questioned whether it was fucking true or not.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the kind of society you might end up living in if you allow this sort of shit to happen. It's like ultra, mob rule sort of.
Yeah, basically mob mentality, groupthink.
Yeah, to an incredibly extreme degree. I don't really want to live in that.
No, I don't either. I really believe in the autonomy of the individual, of being free and tolerant and liberal. And I think that's got lost in a way. I think like the left want to basically like claim that mantle. They want to say that they're liberal and they're tolerant, but they've actually become very twisted. They've sort of gone away from the purity of just being honest, right? Which is actually a very hard thing to maintain, and being honest is difficult because you'll get into a lot of arguments with people being an honest person. But I think that's what kind of being a liberal was meant to be about. Was about combating like ugly stories and ugly ideas about people with just facts and the blunt nature of reality and sticking to that, and so and being open to like new ideas. So that's where this relationship, at least in the last like early 20 years prior to like our generation anyway, with the left and being basically academic and integrated with other cultures.
I used to believe in it so much. I used to believe in everything from the left.
That's where it comes from.
It's quite depressing to not be. But now I don't know. I look at a lot of stuff from the right as well, and I don't think they're wrong. I think they are wrong on lots of things, but in many ways, I look at what they think and I think fair enough, and I look at a lot of the stuff the left thinks and I think fair enough, and then on both sides you see stuff that's so wrong, and it seems like you have to accept it all part and parcel. And actually, I just want to carve out certain parts of each.
It's like you're joining a team almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a false dichotomy. None of those are mutually exclusive.
I'm with A, so fuck B. B must be wrong on everything, and it's like B believes that gravity is real. It's,
just
like, I don't believe in gravity anymore.
I think it would
It's
just
like,
lead to ultimate cognitive dissonance every day. People are like, oh, well, you think this, so how about this? You know, is factoid from the opposite political position.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, shit, it has to be fake because otherwise it makes me wrong. So you're just like, that's not true. Feeling that cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Fake news is the ultimate cognitive dissonance avoiding trick. You're like, fake news. It's like a little, yeah. Whenever I have a headache, I say fake news and it goes away.
I don't have to deal with the facts if you have to deal with the validity.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Woohoo! Whenever Mario tells me he's got a dick bigger than me, I gotta close my eyes and think my name's Luigi.
He's just jealous.
Everyone keeps hearing stories about how how Luigi's cock's 9 inches long, but actually, woohoo! In the background, you just hear Mario jumping around. And you just say, it's like his legs down again, and that's his dick hitting the floor afterwards. And he's like, if you can hear that, it must be massive. He's been cutting that shit in butter and slapping it against the wall for way too long.
His buttery dick.
I heard that his friend slapped it against the wall, and his friend, his friend stuck to the wall for about 30 seconds. Mario winked him and kept going for a minute and a half and more.
Holy
it's
shit.
fucked.
He's got like anti-gravity dick.
He started throwing fireballs at his cock. It's fucked, man. Sorry.
I'm just trying to think how that dude would jump that well if his dick was actually that big. It's like...
Well, his dick usually actually plays the music.
What?
He's got a keyboard that's just been soldered to his back. And it's like his cock's like wrapped around him like a scarf. And it's so sensitive and
Mario's
detailed.
starting to sound like a fucking bad like lab experiment gone
Oh, well,
wrong.
wasn't that...
Like,
no, but the whole idea, as you'll recall in Balaclava Boys episode 1...
like a 19-inch dick and a keyboard
No,
on
it's
his
because
back.
they live in the Mushroom Kingdom, which refers to a mushroom cloud, and it's an irradiated wasteland where everything's like kind of a, you know, several thousands. The scale is a lot bigger as well, so it's a planet that's like 1,000 times the size of the Earth.
Whoa!
So all the, you know, he's obviously like massive, and wherever he jumps is like fucking nuclear craters and shit. Like, do you remember that?
His atomic legs. Yeah, that was from like the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically why his cock's so detailed.
I love it that you've got like law for this shit now. You're like, let me go into extreme detail about why Mario's cock is so big.
I'm just, my memory sucks for pretty much everything apart from remembering other bullshit conversations I've had previously about the same topic. So it's a good thing to, let's say, to make friends or to have jokes, basically. It's great because I can just remember and like make references to shit that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. But then again, I don't remember anything actually useful, so it's like, oh, why do I remember all this shit and none of my, like, you know, the dates I've got meetings at work or whatever. It's like, what time was that meeting? Did you say 12:30 or 3 o'clock? Like,
they don't even like remotely.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't remember.
I am just incompetent because I'm thinking about fucking Mario's huge cock and where he comes from.
I remember the backstory as to why his cock's so massive.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking up quite a lot of space. That's like 200 gigs of information alone.
Can't forget that shit.
I've only got 50 terabytes in my brain. This is taking up quite a lot of space.
Yeah, I don't prioritise things very well in my memory either. I think it's just kind of if you're naturally just interested in bullshit, which I kind of am. It's like that tends to get stuck in my brain a lot more. And speaking of that though, it's like do you remember me? I mentioned like earlier on in the evening, or I suppose like the first time now, about Trump looking into the ability to be able to pardon himself.
Yeah, that's pretty.
As commander-in-chief.
Yeah, it's
don't
really
you think?
Weird.
Like, because
he's a cheeky fucker, isn't he?
He's just fucking mental.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna. He's kind of when you see on it's like all these websites. It's like
shit with
he's basically the human version of Gawker. He's like it's like Gawker investigated himself and found that we did nothing wrong. It's like Trump investigated himself and Trump found that Trump did nothing Trump.
It's completely non-biased, 100% legitimate information.
You're like, are you guilty or not? And he just says, I'm non-binary guilt. Some days I'm guilty and some days I'm not. It's like, this is bullshit.
I don't identify as guilty.
Exactly. I identify as innocent and you shall accept me that way. It's like, what the fuck, Trump?
Yeah, it's like, oh, my liberalism versus my law degree.
Yeah.
How do I make a decision?
Am I a real person or am I a real piece of shit?
But you know, I don't really. I mean, he's looking into it like legitimately with his lawyers as an option. Now, I've just seen recently in the news, right? And so I don't really know.
The thing
There
is,
seems to be quite a lot of turmoil in his government at the
we
moment.
saw
right?
it. We saw it in the news, where the news always shits on him like every day, and that's the problem, is that you can't trust him anymore. So even if it was completely real,
Well, they're
it
just
would
trying
be
to tie Russia
difficult
to
for
him,
me
aren't they? At the moment, I mean,
Oh, they're throwing everything. Like they're
it's
throwing
scandalous.
basically every single dick against the wall to see which one sticks on the longest, and none of them are sticking. They're all like, their butter was low quality.
Mario's like leading
Yeah,
by
it's
a
like
long way with
all of
1
these
minute and a half.
exactly. All of these journalists basically are dicking their sticks in margarine, sticking their dicks. They're all dicking their sticks in margarine, sticking it, and it's just sliding against the wall like, woo! And it's not actually sticking there. So no, but the thing is, it's like it's a big nothing burger, isn't it? Like we have seen video evidence of actually the head of CNN said it's a big nothing burger. The Hillary or the Donald Trump and Russia angle we have no proof for, but it gets us the ratings. So we just keep talking about it because it's making us rich.
Yeah,
And,
which is scandalous.
Yeah.
You know,
That
in and
was
of
real.
itself, it's like
Yeah.
there is no journalistic integrity. It's all about how much money they're making out of the fact that they.
Yeah, he even said, "Oh, that's cute. Ethics. Yeah, that's really cute. That's a cute little college thing.
Yeah.
This is a business." This is what he said. You know, that's cute. This is a business. This is not about ethics.
It's like, wow, what a piece of shit, basically.
Yeah, but he admitted it.
Yeah.
That's the
I mean,
thing, is
we
that
do
he's
know-
less of a piece of shit for
I know,
admitting it.
I know we know that that's how the world is, and it's like naive to think it's any other way, but you still have to be like, that is actually your shit person.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a massive dick. But Trump is also a massive dick. This whole thing is like...
Well, they all probably.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, he's
I
been
don't
walking
think you
around
really
with
do
like
about
a
being a
shit
massive
encrusted
wanker.
asshole, and there's a law that says we have to take a picture of your anus. And he's just trying to like executive order baby wipes into his provision. It's like, this is shit. I'm going to clean it up first.
He's got a little robot that does it. Jeffrey, bring the baby wipes.
Jeffrey's basically
No.
Jeffrey's basically Bojo.
like
Boris
it.
Johnson walks into the scene.
hell.
He's still got his harness from like the Olympics. You know, the Olympics was like
He's got his Theresa
it's
May
like the
sweater
whole
with him.
it's Theresa May sweater and this like trench foot fucking anus. He stinks like shit. And he's like, "Hello, Trump. Would you like? Is it time for your foot bath?" And, you know, so you have like a little, you know, you have these like foot baths where these fish like nibble off the dead skin on your feet.
Yeah.
And that's Boris Johnson swimming around in like a fucking speedo. He's like chewing off like
Nibbling on his
the
foot.
skin on his
Oh,
feet.
yeah.
Yeah, he's like delicious. Yeah, it's like, this is why I'm the foreign secretary. You know, it's like
He's got his like little Great Britain like fucking swimming
like a
trunks
little
on.
flag.
Yeah.
When he comes, a little fucking Union Jack comes out of his dick and like turns to confetti.
That's pretty fucked.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
Whatoutoffuck.com.
What out of fuck?
We didn't check that email.
Oh, what?
Wankerblood@mailinator.com. I think we need to put that one out there. That's anonymous.
Yeah.
We went on yeahboy.com and tried to make a bid on it, but it was 65p and a half packet of Quavers. So you'll be grateful for it, you fucking wanker, because this domain yeahboy.com was listed. It's like a Parks domain, and they said you can buy this for it's like $200,000 or something. No, how much was it?
Like 2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah,
oh,
like
okay.
50 or something.
$2,000.
It's still like a
That's
ridiculous amount
crazy.
of money for a
Yeah,
document,
yeah.
though. I mean,
I was like, ridiculous amount of money. It's like 200,000. No, but yeah, $2,000. And it's mad. Like, who's gonna pay that
not many
for
people.
yeahboy.com? Fucking hell, yeah.
Well, that's why we left that message in the end. It's basically
But they
taking
might
the
accept
piss.
it. What if they wrote back to
Well, I know, like, yeah,
to
we'll give you this domain for
wankerblood
half a packet of Quavers.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we will. I will send you the fucking IKEA little tag to keep everything fresh in there.
There is no way. You know, actually, if they offered that, I would be so suspicious. I wouldn't accept it
I
because
wouldn't
I
accept
basically think it's like, yeah, you can have
Trying
the
to entrap
domain. Yeah, you can have the domain. You just need to send us your phone number so that we can
And your
come
details.
round your house and beat you up because you
Yeah.
insulted us. And it's like, I'm not giving you fuck
No,
all.
yeah, I would
Like,
not
I'm
do
like,
that.
not responding to this email. Piss off.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I've been looking at that's pretty mad. And I'm going to have to be careful not to mention too many personal details because it is very personal. But how much can I say? Essentially, there's this. I've been looking at getting a custom item made for me and my partner, and I've been looking at this website. I'm trying not to be too specific because otherwise it'll be too easy to find them. I've been looking at this website and speaking to these people who live in British Columbia in Canada and make a lot of custom items. Like the husband's a carpenter, and they seem to live on their own farm. But recently there have been forest fires, wildfires in Canada, and they're surrounded on 3 sides by wildfires. They live in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And they're posting on Facebook every day. They've got basically that they are self-sufficient. They're off the grid. They have solar panels. They have satellite internet.
Wow.
They have a big cold room. They cut wood for heating. They just burn wood. They have their own animals and plant, crops. So they are basically self-sufficient. And they said they are in an area that's technically been evacuated. So if they leave their homes to get some, to go to the supermarket, the police will prevent them from going back to their houses. So they're just not leaving, and they're in this survival situation, but they don't want to leave their home. And they don't want to be evacuated. And they said, this is not our first rodeo. We were... the forest fires in 2010 affected us as well, and we stayed at home. But apparently the air becomes poisonous and stuff, so they have to wear gas masks and shit. And they have they mostly stay inside the house, and inside the house they've got an air purifier.
Right.
That is meant to purify the air and stop you getting cancer and stuff like that.
Shit.
And that's just how they get through it. And they post loads of things on Facebook, so pictures of the smoke and stuff. And it's fascinating. I should show you later on. Like it's it's quite an interesting thing to see and to hear about. That these people are such dedicated survivalists that they won't leave their home even when they're surrounded on 3 sides in the middle of nowhere by forest fires.
Do fires get do they endanger them? Do they come close?
It could. I think the last time they got within 20 kilometers.
Okay.
But they can travel very, very quickly. In Portugal there were these big forest fires in I think it was back in June, and something like 70 people died.
Wow.
Because the police had given them wrong directions on what roads to follow. They went down the wrong roads and then tried to outrun the flames, but they weren't quick enough.
They went the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Really horrible. Yeah. Oh my God, that Doomba, I can't.
That Doomba was.
This ain't no forest fire around here. This tree is amazing. Right.
How old do you?
Let's talk about the field. How old do we think the tree is? I've given this tree a hug before.
It was a nice tree. I mean, this is...
I've butted out a cigarette on this tree and I've said, I'm sorry, and hugged it.
It's sizable, it's like the...
this tree is probably about 100 years old, 150 maybe.
How many people do you reckon you could get under it,
shit. 80 years old.
In a circle
How
around
many
it?
people? If we sat close together, I'd be about here. This doesn't really carry on a sound podcast. I think we could fit around 12... no.
More
6,
than that.
12 people, do you reckon?
I reckon, yeah. Because you could have 2 people stood parallel, all the way around
Oh,
it.
well, if you were standing, I'm thinking about lying down and being comfortable.
Oh,
I think lying down being comfortable,
yeah.
you could fit around 8 people maximum.
Mm.
But yeah, if you had everyone standing up and leaning against the tree, you could probably have 14 people out, something like that. If you were standing side on. Wait, no, if you're side on, you could fit in more. 20 people or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. More kind of like 20 people. Which
Yeah.
is quite a lot, it's a decent
Yeah,
size.
it's interesting.
The canopy's pretty big and it's very, very tall. It's maybe I don't know, it's maybe 30 odd foot.
Whoops.
I think. In size, this tree. It's quite fucking tall. It's
I'm grasping nettles is that my finger?
It's a landmark anyway in the field.
Yeah, it is.
You can see it from quite far away. And the field's basically just, yeah.
Have you got your phone on you?
No, I don't. Oh wait, yeah, I do actually.
Oh, you do? Can I borrow it just for your light?
Yep, sure.
Oh no, I've got it. Don't worry.
I have it. Yeah, it's like a natural sort of long grass field, isn't it? That sounds pretty cheeky. and then tons of trees and shit, all the way around the edge. Some of them are just as big, but very English.
I've been a retard. Anyway, like grasping a nettle, like ooh.
Grasping a nettle. Fuck, that's like that's what, you know. Their whole defense is based around you not being able to grasp them. You know, it's like that's the opposite of what you should do.
It was just only with the edge of my hand, but yeah, I felt pretty dumb.
Like,
I didn't really, it's just because I didn't realise my bag was placed in such a way.
They were hiding.
Funny how there were people near us getting fucked as well. You can hear them. They're like, and we're like, oh yeah, and they're like, we don't want to go near that kind of laughing. We're like, oh, we don't want to hear that shit. Fuck off. It's kind of what drunk people interact, you know. Yeah, it's a lot like it's like, I don't like the way you laugh, and all the friends laugh like that, and then all the other friends are like, oh yeah, I don't like the way you laugh either.
It's kind of like listening to
when you're sober. Yeah, when you're sober and you have drunk people on a fucking train, and it's like, I gotta take this all the way to London. Oh shit. And they're like, oh Gina, you're so fucking funny, mate. And it's like, oh shit.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't want to try fucking shut the bed again and take the wrong train.
I'm just like massively antisocial on trains. I'll just go and sit by the fucking toilet. Like I won't even be asked to like fight for my seat.
Interesting.
I'm just like, I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
You know, fuck that shit. Like, leave me here in the corridor. I don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna play some fucking half story.
Like, yeah, the only reason I'm on the train is to get from A to B. I like don't care how I get there.
And I'm gonna sit on my C and I'm gonna play my D.
I'm gonna play
with my D.
I'm gonna play my D all day. And it's like,
and then I'm gonna take some E, and then I'm gonna get some F. And then I'm gonna see my G.
Wanna be gangster.
And then I'm gonna take some H.
But the train.
And then I'm gonna think about I. Sorry.
But, you can't keep that going. It's like not actually possible.
And then I'm gonna think about J.
No. For the M.
And then I'm gonna smoke some L. No, I'm gonna buy some L, some perfume for Mademoiselle M. And then I'm gonna say N for no. And then I'm gonna
on a scale of,
show you my O.
On a scale of
I'm gonna
10 to
have a
10,
P.
How fucked are we right now?
10 to 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
What time is it? It's probably time to get a watch, isn't it?
I think it's like about
wow, it's 1:30.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
One of the lads, game of footy. Let's back of the net. This one.
Talksport.com.
I wish I'd done 3 of them. Yeah, Talksport is kind of. This whole BBC pay gap thing is pretty wank.
Yeah.
It's like Chris Evans has showed his penis to millions of viewers, and they've all loved it so much that we pay him £2 million. And this poor lady, who's only shown her clip to about 3,000 people, has made £8.50. And everyone's like,
it's not that, man. It's more like 500,000. You know, like these people are on like.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
I think the lowest paid one on there of the women was like.
I'm not saying she's not being paid enough.
350 grand a year. Yeah. She was like the lowest one. It's like,
like, she's so poor, isn't she?
500,000. It's like
she's oppressed as fuck.
We should give them more money because the men get more. And it's like, hang on a minute, we've got like fucking homeless people dying on the streets. You know, like mental health crisis. It's like just being completely fucking ignored. You know, social care is like gone down the toilet. There's no houses. People are fucked. You know, it's like, and I'm meant to like cry because some fucking upper class, already millionaire like woman who works for the BBC, getting paid for our taxes that I don't even fucking use because I just go on the internet and don't watch TV. You know, and her wages being paid by that. Oh, good point. I used to. I don't now. I don't now. But
that's what I read their news site. I don't watch iPlayer it, and I don't watch TV. But I don't really want to fund it, and I don't want to be any part of it. I think TV sucks.
Yeah, but my point is,
just
like,
pay for Netflix.
Should I cry for this person? Basically, you know, that when they're being paid, like, what the average median wage of these people who was there was 450 grand a year. Yeah. It's like, you're fucking rich. Like, don't expect me to have any sympathy for you. Like, I don't give a shit what your gender is at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, you have no right to complain about anything. You're enormously
rich as
fucking
fuck.
rich. You can have whatever the fuck you want. Shut the fuck up. Like,
And the audiences are not comparable, you know? It's like you pay people based on what they're worth, and if you bring in a smaller viewership, then you are worth less. I don't think that's particularly horrible. That's not a horrible thing to say. That's just very realistic.
yeah, pretty
You
much.
know, if I bring in this much value,
Chris Evans gets paid that amount of money because even though
out of 12,000
We might not
listens
like
in the
him.
first
I don't
quarter
like
of
him. I
2016,
think
he
he's
brought in
unentertaining.
12 million. He brought in 9 million of those.
so 3/4 of like the total
Yeah, of the total listeners
rating.
on it's like on breakfast shows in the first quarter of it was 2016 or 2017.
Well, when you frame it like that, it's like the pay gap kind of looks fucking proportional, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, it doesn't look like it's because of injustice. It looks like because this person is basically bringing in 75% of the work. Like, holy shit! That's
And he
like
gets
basically
paid
paying
4
everyone's
times
wages.
more. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, well, obviously he's doing a fucking good job. And that's the thing, is that it's like it's basically like twisting, right? It's like taking it's like taking a meritocracy, right, which is what you actually live in, and then twisting how you look at it so that it looks like it's not that, and in fact it's actually an enormously biased place. But it's like they just ignore all of the facts that basically make it seem meritocratic. Oh hey, give me that ball. Oh, let me open that Ribena for you. It's gonna be really hard raining. Oh, it's flat.
Okay. Don't worry, baby. It'll take me longer to pop my pot next time. Okay, I'm gonna get going. Oh, I love you so much, baby. Oh, wait. Oh, I love you. Oh, wait. Oh, you're so nice. Oh shit. Oh, fuck.
I hope those people aren't like anywhere near that anymore. They're gonna think we're some fucking weird doggers like out by the tree. It's like they're dogging really good. It's like, no.
He came twice in a row, but
wasn't
within
me.
about 20 seconds. What the fuck?
Lava is not a salad. It's not
He's
associated
the fastest
with
boy in
Valley.com.
the fastest boy in the universe. He knows how to make himself come in about 10 seconds. And his refractory period is about 5 seconds, so watch out.
Top
He's when
high
people
score
call him
refractory
rabbit,
period.
it means that he actually is a rabbit. So it's fucked. He's 25% rabbit DNA.
I can burn all night, baby. Just watch me go. Look at yourself.
That's why they call me Mario Super Smash Brothers, because I smash all night.
Fuck. It's like
They call Luigi
like-
Luigi's Mansion because it's got dust all over it.
It's like you've probably listened to this podcast before and being like, that was some pretty degenerate shit. But then now you're listening to this and you're like, what the fuck am I? What have I done?
Subscribe, like, comment. Show me a picture of your dick because I did in episode 3.
I shouldn't have listened to this. My brain is
The
full of
liner
toxic
notes.
no-nos.
You know, if you add up the first letter of every sentence I speak in this episode and last episode, it actually puts together a secret message, and I've planned this incredibly well, but it just sounds like I'm chatting shit.
It's an ASCII code fucking summoning of the devil. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, pentagrams coming out of your eyes, sort of shit.
What else is going on in the world at the moment?
That baby.
Oh yeah, that baby.
That baby.
That baby.
You know, the thing is, whenever I see that baby, I
baby.
say, "Oh shit, what up?" And
Oh,
it can't
shut up.
actually reply because it's got 10% chance of surviving.
That's like an eel. That was such a fuck joke to make. It's
I'm
like,
sorry,
welcome
that's
to
horrible.
the newest low. It's like, I didn't think I could go any lower, but then I started taking the piss out of disabled brain-dead babies, and I realized that there
thing
was a
is,
new bottom I
I
could
don't
go
need to
to.
know about that shit. I don't want to know about it. It's like, this is shit. The other thing is, it is really sad, and I feel awful for the fucking parents, but they're like, we want to be in the news some more. We're going to sue you because we still have faith. And it's like, your faith is not really worth anything. And if you want to spend your own private money, they shouldn't prevent you from doing that. But at the same time, this whole campaign is really fucked. And I think it's
public as
incredibly
well.
cynical. They're very, very, very public.
You know, it's very public for a reason, I feel. It's like,
That's the whole point of it.
and a lot of Americans who, you know, because obviously that's where they're trying to
Send it.
emigrate to send their child to get this special
Because their end
treatment.
of life care is the best in the world, yeah.
you know, because of like abortion, you know, still being very, very controversial. You know, this is a good sort of like fight for American politics to get involved in.
Man.
Well, yeah, I think it's like, you know,
I'm like
woman's
it's
choice.
a bit edgy and stuff, but it's a left thing I like. I'm very in a way pro-abortion when it comes to kind of it sounds fucked, but basic eugenics, positive eugenics, which is if you have a child, if your partner is pregnant, or you know you were a woman and you're pregnant, and they do a scan and they say your baby's going to have Down syndrome, you can just abort it, and it's going to be much easier. It's going to make your life a lot more high quality, a lot easier.
They've
and
done
it's going
that
to
in some
prevent
countries,
someone
you know.
from unnecessarily suffering. Yeah, they do it.
I think it's been done in
You
Scandinavia.
can do it in the UK, but it's optional.
Well, there was a big debate about it last year because, and this was on 5 Live on.
There's
you know,
a
popular radio
debate
show.
on the debate as well, because people are saying, you know, I have Down syndrome and I'm intelligent enough to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
like
it's
we
quite
haven't been
fucked up that
included.
you're having a debate on my life.
Yeah, and on our existence.
Yeah. Thing is, it's not like anyone's going to fucking
But
kill
where they
them.
brought
It's just that they're going to stop other people who have the same disability of being born.
it's statistically where it's been brought into place so far, like pretty much, I think they said it was 99% of people who were scanned and found out that their child had Down syndrome,
Yeah.
had it terminated, right?
Yeah.
So that's uniform behaviour at that
Because
point.
no one wants. It's kind of, you know.
It's an unspoken
Imagine if
taboo
Amazon
rule, but
sent
it's
you an
like,
email
yeah,
and said like, yeah, this one came out of the factory damaged. Do you want a replacement item? And you're like, no. It's like, just send me the one. It's like, no extra charge. Are you sure?
yeah, but it's obviously very incredibly taboo to talk about like a child, like an unborn,
Yeah.
you know, child,
Like a product.
like that way. But that is how people think about it when it comes down to the crunch time of the actual decision. They go, you know, this is at the moment.
That's
it's
going to make my life really hard.
yeah,
is what
you
they
know,
think.
at the moment this is meaningless because this is a ball of cells, and I have this choice to avoid that issue, and for it to be basically, you know, morally okay, apart from people who are like very, very hard line for like religious reasons. It's going to be like understandable, and you know, yeah, unsurprisingly, pretty much like saying 99 out of 100 people that are doing that.
Yeah.
And that's why there was this debate in the UK, because like you were saying, people who have Down syndrome and understand the
called
debate
positive eugenics,
were
yeah.
hearing about this, and they were going, well, we're basically just being bred out of like existence,
Yeah.
you know, by
Bye.
discrimination. And it's like, is that actually a decent thing to do?
Maybe not. No.
And it's like, yeah, maybe not. You know, that's a debate worth having. Like before we like go ahead and just wipe out, because that is what would happen. You know, just like basically. they just wouldn't-
Well, it's basically it's everyone's personal choice, so no one's being forced. But it's just that there are consequences. There are consequences to these actions. You know, you might need this.
Cheers. Yeah. Well, what kind of consequences?
So a lot of children with Down syndrome are not independent. They have shorter lifespans, which means that you are going to be one of those parents who might have to live to see your children die, which is fucking awful. And a lot of them are less independent, so they might, and they might, you know, most of the time Down syndrome children are very friendly and they have a real love of life, but some of them understand all too well that they're different from everyone else, and it makes them very depressed. It's just quite a cruel thing to subject someone to if you have the choice to kind of, because I feel like if I were in that position, I just wouldn't really want to exist. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can understand that argument.
I mean,
I think it's
felt
actually
that
quite.
sometimes as
I think it's
someone
actually
who's
quite
not disabled.
empathetic.
So
You're basically saying like, you know, how would I feel if that was like me in
that
that
existence was thrust
situation?
upon
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. You know, and like, would I want to live that?
I might have a happy childhood, but after that, I think it would be hell.
Yeah.
Never
Maybe.
be able to make human contacts. I saw this really interesting documentary
Maybe.
about.
Can't say for definite, but
There's a documentary about this guy who, this child with autism who came to be able to. He's heavily autistic, but he become, and he didn't speak to anyone until he was about 8, and he was just obsessed with Disney cartoons, and his dad started speaking to him with like Disney puppets.
okay.
We're
Wow.
having
You must be pretty
conversations.
obsessed then.
Yeah, and that's how he got this autistic kid to talk, by having conversations with him in character. And he found out that his son could basically only reply through quotes, so he quoted lines from Disney movies, and that's kind of like how he managed to express himself,
Wow.
because otherwise he couldn't really understand how to talk.
Wow. Really.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And now he
That's
can
incredibly
speak, but he
interesting.
has this very, very it's a worthwhile watch. I forget what it's called. I can definitely find it again though.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
It is, yeah. And now he can, he can speak without necessarily quoting Disney films, but he has an incredibly naive view of the world. And he lives in this. He goes to school with in this disabled community, and he starts living in like disabled community housing, and has this like girlfriend and all this stuff like relatively long term, and then she randomly breaks up with him, and you don't really know why, and he's really upset by it. And it's all like, you watch all this shit and you think, wow, this is weird. And then he gets a job at the cinema and he's all like autistic, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
That's such a like vague description at the end. It's like, he's autistic. Wow, that's crazy. It's like, ooh, what? It's pretty funny. That sounds interesting though. I would watch that.
He just has a very Disney view of the world, and it just doesn't really match that way. And he has an older brother who's not disabled. And then you kind of watch his thoughts throughout that. So he's like, how do I tell him about sex eventually? And he's asking his brother, like, what do you think happens when you have a girlfriend for a long time? And he's like, you kiss? Because he just refers himself to Disney movies, so they just kiss at the end and that's it.
Yeah.
So he's like, a nice kiss. He sort of sounds like that, and And his brother's like, yes. And then maybe your wee wee gets hard, and he's like, what?
What
Goodbye.
do you mean?
Yeah.
I can't explain this to you. You're just gonna have to figure it out. And
His
it's
brother
like,
just says,
I put it in her ear.
yeah. The best thing was that when at the end of every episode, when his it was a film actually, but they kind of filmed it in this weird episodic way. At the end of every kind of set of scenes, his brother would start saying postnatal abortion and like start chanting it at him until he shut up, because he'd always start like screaming like, yeah, he'd just get angry about things. That's what I was talking about, villains in Disney movies. And then his brother would start saying postnatal abortion, postnatal abortion, natal abortion. And he starts putting out these scissors of life, and he's like starts sniffing them like shrink, postnatal abortion, postnatal abortion. I could cut you in half with these scissors. Shrink. And his brother's like, oh, a whole new world. Oh, new different kind of you. He's like crying, and his brother's like,
Tears
He's
streaming
like,
down his
yeah,
face.
exactly. He's like, I'm gonna cut you in half. And he's like, I'm not. I feel merciful today. And he like puts some scissors of life down. And he's like,
Scissors of life. Whoa. So, like, I mean, I just thought they were like just murderous scissors, but it's like, no,
Scissors of life,
these scissors are basically where like all of the biological tree stems from. It's like, these scissors are legit.
I cut down Yggdrasil with this shit. I'm gonna cut your life next. And you're like, fuck. Imagine having that kind of situation, being in a war zone and having some mad fucking murderer after you, and then he's like, basically kills all your friends, and he's like, I'm gonna let you live so you can tell everyone else what you saw. That would be PTSD sort of shit. I'd be like,
Yeah, I mean, that would be like more than PTSD. I think like,
I'd be waking up pissing the bed every night. I'd be like, fuck, this is fucked up.
yeah, you'd be
It's like, this has broken me as an animal. I'm not really coherent anymore.
cowardice mode is just 100%
It's
now.
like,
Yeah.
oh fuck.
Oh, that sounds awful.
I'd try and like
Dark
smash him in the
Knight
balls
Metal.
as hard as I could, and I'd get stabbed in the gut with a chainsaw, and I'd be like,
Now you die.
yeah, I'm like, at least I made sure you would never breathe again. I started vomiting blood in his face. He's like, like wrenching the chainsaw through my spine, like, fuck you, I curse your family. You like bite them as hard as you can as you're getting chainsawed, and you give them a fucking infection. It's like, the human mouth contains more bacteria than a dog's mouth. So biting into them,
Throwing
telling
out,
them
like, random
factoids.
little internet factoids while you're like getting chainsawed.
Biting his neck like,
Did you know it takes 9 months for a coffee tree
by
to
the way,
blossom?
I'm like, by the way, I'm HIV positive, and I'm like scraping my nails off and like putting them in his neck, trying to like mix my blood with his as much as I can, start kissing him.
Oh, what the fuck?
I don't know.
That is twisted. I'm just like, how the shit? How the hell did we get to that?
It's like, how psychotic can you
It's
get?
just like,
Wow, I think
I feel like I was on a peaceful river ride and then we fell off the waterfall basically, and it's like, where the fuck are we now? And it's like, actually,
I getting a bit sketchy
You're
now. I was like,
riding
I might
down
as
the
well
river
climax
Styx.
that. Yeah.
You're riding down the river
Exactly.
Styx
It's like,
and
I
you're
might
going
as
to
well
fucking
climax
hell,
that
mate.
sketch.com.
It's like Hades is here and he's basically been having a wank over you. You're just like
Cerberus has been
rolling
sucking him
around
off
in
3
his
times
fucking
in a row.
cum. Cerberus is like just sucking him off. It's like
Every single head is like, oh,
bestiality blowjob like
Exactly.
spray. It's like you're just like why? So degrading.
Cerberus winks at you and says, I'm making you criminally cringe. And you say, the dog can talk.
Welcome
and he
to
understands
hell,
what cringe is.
bitch.
Yeah, he's like, I want to show you what a good boy I am.
What a good boy I am. Let's go for a walk, please.
You want to kiss me on the lips after I sucked him off? You're like, no.
Salty chops.
I never want to kiss you on the lips again.
Salty chops is such a good boy.
Remember when I kissed you on the lips when you came in? I've just done this.
It's like,
You're like,
no.
Yeah.
That you find out who's your dad. It's like, oh.
This dog's been licking my balls for centuries and it's been you. I think this is basically done. I can't even light it anymore.
Oh yeah, no worries, son.
Bang.
Bang.
The dirt is gone.
Bush.
Barry Scott here. He's going to tell you.
You're a mess. Bush.
You're a mess. High energy, Jeb. Tonight,
You're a mess,
I like
Jeb.
it. Tonight, Jeb, I like it that your high energy, your energy. Did you have a Red Bull before you came in
Jeb
here?
is a mess.
And Jeb says, I had 2 ginseng pills instead. I did not have a Red Bull. And then the Balaclava boys come in and say, we had both. And we had a coffee beforehand. We're real shit. And everyone looks at you in the courtroom and all the jury starts pointing at you and say, guilty of having a huge dick. And you go, whoa.
Who knew Catherine could be so cool?
Whoa. When I put my hands in here last time, I was only 6 inches, but now I'm 12. What the fuck? The jury doubled my dick size as a reward.
Basically, it's like Balaclava boys homeopathy is like have a Red Bull, some ginseng, and your dick will grow by like 7 inches.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. Little Wayne was right.
I need a holster for this shit now. Yeah, it's like,
when I was a child, I had a gun holster just strapped to my leg. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I have a 3rd trouser leg now. That's how big it is. It's just like, I just cosplay as an elephant.
You're technically a tripod. It's
I
like,
cosplay as an elephant every day of the week.
oh man. You just like tell everyone it's like your enormous cancerous lump. You know, don't worry about it. It's like you can touch it all you want. I can't feel anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and they're like, what was that?
Oh,
and
it's
you're
just leaking.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just, sorry, I just farted. Sorry, I just sharted. I better go to the toilet and get some tissues and sort myself out. They're like, what? Why do you look so pleasured? And you're like,
why are you so smiley? Like,
yeah, it's like you look like you've just had a massive release, and it's like, no. Thanks for your volunteering. I mean, bye. Just walk out. And they're like, volunteering? What the fuck?
It's just like dripping out at the end of the fabric of whatever's covering
it's like,
it
you're
off the
smelling it, and you're
floor.
like, I swear that smells like cum. And it's like, no, it's not, from the bathroom. It's like you hear the sounds of a shower. And it's like, no, it's not the smell of cum. It's, I'm sorry, I've just got like some skin problems and I put loads of cream on it and it smells like cum, don't worry. So I'm like, oh. And they're like, right, yeah.
That was like an almost borderline believable reason as to why you would do that. I was like, I've always kind of like, I was only impressed with how sick that was, but then you like came up with like a reasonably believable reason why someone's dick would like leak cum all over the floor into the bathroom, and it's like, holy shit. I would not be able to think of anything if someone like was like hunting me down with that. I'd be like, oh,
what the fuck? Yeah.
That is blatantly what it is. So like, I'm not going to try and get out of it. Go, it's hand cream.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to come up with the most fucked up like ideas. Yeah. It's like, what's the worst story?
Hey, it's Balaclava boys for you. When that recording fucks up and you lose that recording, but it's cool cause you still got an hour and 20 minutes of solid content. Yeah, Balaclava boys for you. Yeah, Balaclava boys. Yeah, Balaclava boys. This song is about as coherent as a Balaclava boys episode. Yeah, Balaclava boys for you. .com.